Good morning. Welcome to this edition of the Weekend Wrap Up. It is February 1st, 2025, and we're here to tell you about the news that matters, Josh.
We are, yeah, a whole new month.
Yeah, got a lot going on and a lot to talk about. Before we dive into it, though, we want to take and thank our sponsors, Dennis Young Insurance here in Shelbyville. Let's hear a word from him, and we'll come right back and get to the news that matters.
Absolutely.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 19.
Welcome back to the Weekend Wrap Up Show. Josh, you've got a pretty long list of stuff to go through here. Not quite as long as last week, though.
Not as long as last week. Hopefully, we will not go over an hour again. We don't try to go that long on a normal basis.
That's a first, really.
That was a first. So, but before we get into the past week, I think there is some breaking walking horse news that I think you're going to share with us.
Yes, there is. The Tennessee walking horse industry had filed a lawsuit concerning the new regulations that would be going into effect today. Actually, they would have been in effect, but the Trump administration put a halt or a freeze on all the new regulations for 60 days. So this would have made February. It would have been in April where this would have gone into effect. But the judge did a summary judgment based out of Texas. A federal judge came out and he basically had to rule on 5 different points of the argument. And the walking horse industry won, or he was in favor of the 4 of the 5 points that the walking horse industry was suing on. The one point that was not ruled in our favor was where the USDA would basically take complete control of the inspection process. Mm-hmm. And the point that our industry was making is that circumvented some of the due process, and he didn't agree with that. But it's not a big thing other than the USDA will be overseeing the inspection process for all the show horses. The other main issue that was cleared up was the use of action devices and the built-up packages on the Tennessee walking horses for the performance horses. They were trying to take those away completely, and also weighted shoes. Those, he agreed that it didn't really play a factor in soaring, and therefore was not necessary, and he ruled in our favor there. That was the big win for the walking horse industry. So it appears now that the ball is in the USDA's court to appeal this, or just let it go and try to bring out new rules later in conjunction with the industry. And my thought is that they will probably work with the industry since the administration changed.
Sure.
And the industry will have a lot of input as to what goes forward. That's my take on it. But it does buy some time for the walking horse industry to have a good show season. And I think the next 4 years under this new administration, the walking horse industry has a friend in charge.
Okay. All right.
And so it's a good thing for Shelbyville. I know there's a lot of new folks that have moved to the area over the last few years that don't realize the impact that the Tennessee walking horse has had on the history of Shelbyville. It's not what it was years ago, but it still brings in some commerce. It brings in a lot of visitors throughout the year that you don't even see. And then, of course, during the celebration, during the big show. Yeah. So it's a good thing for the city of Shelbyville and Bedford County that this got ruled as such. Now the issue is going to be more in the industry, maybe making some tweaks into what they do and working with the USDA versus being opposition to them. Right. And hopefully they can get together and we'll be on better footing.
Yeah. So as far as the season goes, everything should be smooth for this coming year. Whereas
outside of the inspection process, not sure exactly how that's going to work.
Right.
But come April 1st, the way it sounds is the USDA is going to be in charge 100%. So how the industry and the USDA work together on that point, it remains to be seen.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, good update. And then as far as the rest of the week here in town, on Monday, I actually went a little bit out of Shelbyville to the big town award race to the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. I've only been to that one. This is on my second time at one of their meetings, I think. They've had a lot of changes there. We just had an election, have some new aldermen in, so I wanted to see kind of get a feel for what was going on in War Trace. This particular meeting was a special called meeting to review the fiscal year 2023-24 comptroller's audit of their financials. The comptroller audited the city's financials. They had 3 findings that they brought up to the city that they asked them to try to correct. One was that there's not enough separation of duties, but again, small town, they've only got 2 office staff. It's kind of hard to separate your financial duties. We only got 2 people there. Right. So not a lot they're going to be able to do to fix that. They found several year-end journal entries were needed to get the general ledger into agreement. They said at the meeting they felt like those were normal. They weren't sure why those were brought up, but they're going to try to get the number of journal entries down. That's all they can do. But the big one was they found that War Trace spent more money than was in their budget, and that's not a good one. So they had budgeted in their general fund $410,000 for the year, but they actually spent $535,000. So they need to, and I think they will going forward now that they have a new alderman in place. They need to do budget amendments at the end of the year because you can't spend money that's not budgeted.
Right.
So that's not a good thing.
Yeah, you need to amend that budget to make it correct.
You need to amend the budget to make it correct. So they're going to get that corrected. And then the big discussion that happened at the end of the meeting was now that there's been a big change in administration there, War Trace, as we know, has had an ongoing water utility system issue going back 30-some years. And there was an attempt made maybe a couple years ago by some people to try to get some outside help. And the administration at that point didn't really seem that open to getting a lot of outside help. So, but the new Board of Mayor and Aldermen made clear at this meeting, they're now open to collaboration, partnership, whatever you want to call it, with other small utilities in the area to try to bring them together and try to get, some economies of scale there and hopefully get their water system straightened out because that's been an ongoing issue going back as far as I've lived here. And I know way more years past then.
Well, there's one question I have, Josh. I know the topic was on the table last year considerably because we had a lot of outages and we continue to have outages. You just don't hear about them as much.
Yeah.
There was the talk of a state grant that there was money available to help, and I think it was like $600,000 or $700,000.
Right.
There was talk about that it was hadn't been applied for, or had been applied for, and it was there if we needed it, and it was just sitting and there hadn't been used. Do you know if that money was ever shifted to the department to use it?
They did not touch on that specific grant at the meeting, so I don't know. But again, with the new alderman in there, I think they're going to be more on top of that. They've got some people in there that have more experience in local government. So hopefully they're going to get on top of that. And I mean, it just makes sense, as small as they are, that they should either combine, partner, I don't know what the right word is, with, Bell Buckle, with, I don't know what other utilities are in the area there, B-Cut or Shovel Power, somebody. They need to pool their resources because the problems they have are bigger than they're able to handle as a city. I mean, they just don't have the budget. And
you look at the budget they were just talking about here. That's not even going to touch water.
Right, and that's just the government budget.
Yeah.
They have a separate utility budget.
Okay.
Yeah, that was bigger than that. But it's still, I mean, it's not a big enough town with enough people to handle the kind of issues that it has. So they need to get in with.
It's a larger area too than what you realize.
Right. Yeah, they provide water service. That's the other big thing. Their water service goes outside the city limits. So people that don't even get to vote on these aldermen are stuck with the decisions that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen make there. So they it looks more optimistic. So hopefully they'll continue to make progress, and hopefully they'll find a way to get combined in, and maybe, eventually the people of War Trace can actually have consistent water service and not have to worry about it going down all the time.
Good deal.
So,
good.
Tuesday at noon, City Council had a study session where we discussed the new solid waste transfer station. This is the proposal that's been on the books now, going back to December, where a private company is looking to open a solid waste transfer station over fairly close to the high school in that industrial area. There was a lot of discussion. It was about an hour and a half meeting, it seemed like at the end of the meeting, everybody had gotten a lot more comfortable with the proposal, and we got a lot more information. I'll jump forward real quick to Thursday. I took a field trip with Councilmember Noel. We went in and toured the Manchester Solid Waste Transfer Station just to get an idea of, it's one thing to see renderings and pictures and Google Maps and all that, but we actually wanted to be on the ground. We walked through it. They gave us, showed us how it operated, showed us where the trailers, the in and out and how it actually worked. And that just gave us a better feel. And I can say just for my part, what I felt having seen it was, obviously you wouldn't want to hang out there, and spend your day there unless you work there. It's not the most pleasant place. It's a big pile of trash. But, coming into it, just once you were, a few 100 feet off from it, it's not like you had there wasn't a big pungent aroma, as it were, that seemed to go out a long ways away from it.
I think there's one main thing that everybody has to look at when they think about this. I know a lot of people say, we don't want that here. We don't want that here.
Right.
And I get it. Okay. It's like you said, it's not pleasant to just go hang out at.
Right.
But you don't have to hang out there. Okay.
No, you don't.
You don't have to hang out there. And what it does in the end has to benefit the city of Shelbyville.
Right.
And the way it sounds that this will help us save money.
Significant amount of money. Yeah.
And it helps move our trash somewhere else.
We're sending our trash to Alabama at that point, so it's their problem.
Right. So that to me, and that's just my opinion here.
Right.
When you look at the broad picture, I can nitpick it to death.
Sure.
And say I don't want that there. That's at the high school. Well, are we going to make the kids run through it? I don't think so. But
no.
Is it going to benefit the city of Shelbyville in the end? That's the question.
Right. And the actual thing we're just voting on are zoning regulations. And our planning director has done a great job. He's made a long list of requirements as far as for one of these to come in. It's going to be 750 feet away from any residence, any school, any church, anything. They can only operate certain hours of the day. They can't keep trash on site overnight. There's a lot of things going into this to make sure that it doesn't become, some kind of a problem to the city in the future. So I think it's looking more likely like it'll pass. It'll come up at the study session this coming week. And then I would assume, I can't see it getting deferred again. I would think it'd be voted on the following week. So, same day, Tuesday evening, was the county financial management committee, and got a number of reports like that as we do every month. Couple I wanted to point out. Our owner's rep gave a report with updates on our projects in our bundle deal that we've been talking about going back to last year, where we borrowed money. I believe that was May.
The bundle. Yeah.
The bundle. We had to approve financing for this bundle in May, and I just thought I'd read the update on the 4 items that aren't school related. Our surplus building, we're still working on plans as we sit here in February. Still has not gone out to bid. Will go to bid when plans are complete.
And is there a date on that at this point, Josh, or is it just kind of still in the air?
They're working on the plans, so
okay.
I don't have a solid date on that yet. Juvenile Center, that one's not going to bid. That's doing that guaranteed maximum price deal that we talked about. And every month we've gotten this report, there's been a date on it where we were supposed to have guaranteed maximum price. The current report we were just getting says the guaranteed maximum price contract expected to be reviewed on February 15th.
Okay.
So maybe this month we'll get a price on that one. Soil Conservation Office, bidding has been sent to multiple parties.
That was like a $25,000.
Yeah, that was a small one. Yeah. And it's don't have a final bid on that yet. And then the gun range, it said, is still in the design phase. So of those 4 of the 5 projects that were on that bundle, we still don't have pricing on, most of it. So,
okay.
But we had to hurry up and borrow the money in May.
Yes. So, that's why I thought that these things were pretty much shovel ready, that they're ready to start working on all this. I guess it's just the schools at this point.
The school was the only one that was really ready. So, speaking of schools, we got a new report this month in the finance packet. I just thought I'd mention it because it piqued my interest. It had a full list. It was a 3-page report, kind of like a flow chart, something showing rough scheduling on all the construction projects in process in the county, education and county related. And what struck my interest was included on the list were timelines for Liberty High School and a county fire department
Oh,
headquarters.
Liberty High School.
Liberty High School, which
Okay,
neither
so-
of these are actual projects yet. I mean, we've heard some discussion of a Liberty High School. I hadn't heard the discussion yet on the county fire department headquarters. That was the first for me, and maybe there has been discussion. I missed it, but on this schedule, and again, this obviously is way rough and way in the future, but this had Liberty High School being constructed from April 2027 to March of 2029. And a county fire department headquarters being constructed from May 2026 to September 2027.
Okay, so is there a location already in play here?
Well, Liberty High School, you would assume.
Oh, I
is on
know,
the
I
Liberty
know that,
property.
but
Yeah,
I'm talking about the
don't-
fire headquarters.
Yeah, that I don't know. And these are very early on in the planning stages, and neither of these have funding or even approval.
I
from
hadn't even heard
anybody
discussion on this at
Yes,
this point.
so we'll just keep an eye on them and see where they go. This is just kind of a heads up that it looks like we're probably going to get a Liberty High School and probably going to get a county fire headquarters. It seems like so.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll
We'll keep watching. So,
right.
on the financials for the county, property tax collections are $1.46 million ahead of last year.
okay. I'll stop right here.
Yeah.
Yay us.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But here's my question, Josh. And
Yeah.
I know you don't have the answer to this, but I'm just
Yeah.
going to throw it out there.
All right.
Since we're way ahead, let's say we stay ahead. Does that mean we're going to get a lower property tax rate next year if we're ahead, or is this just
no.
collections?
Yeah,
It's all spent anyway, right?
Well, it's all spent. And actually, honestly, property tax, it doesn't really, I mean, they give us that number, but
I
you
know.
can decide to pay your property tax in
At a
February,
certain
some
time,
people
yeah,
January.
yeah,
It's
right.
just kind of when it
Okay,
comes
so
in.
sales tax collections.
Sales tax,
goes.
though, that is interesting. That is up almost 947,498 to be exact.
And where is that money going?
Ahead of last year. Well, the bulk of that is going into the debt service account.
Right.
Yeah, for future construction.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so that debt service account, we've had this discussion before. As it gets bigger,
Yeah, which we
When do
talked
we-
about it last
can we stop-
month.
can
Like
we-
54 million, I think.
yeah.
is
Can
sitting
we
there.
stop contributing? Can we reallocate some of this money to go toward other? Or it has to
We
go there?
cannot. No,
So we have to build.
current structure is that money has to go in unless the current sales tax agreement structure were to be changed.
Okay.
That money has to go where it's going. And then another number that another one I found interesting for me, year to date, which we're not talking calendar year to date. This would be fiscal year to date.
Right.
So July through
Uh-huh.
December, which is what this report was. The county has spent $400,000 on legal fees so
Okay.
far. And we know
Okay.
we know what this is all tied
Yes,
up with.
$400,000
in the last 6 months of the
all right,
year.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to assume that I bet our city has spent close to that as well.
You would assume, yeah. So,
So-
that's the ongoing.
Getting close to $1 million.
And that was just a 6-month period. I'd say we've definitely passed that.
We have passed
That
$1 million
number,
on
yeah,
a
between the city
lawsuit.
and the county.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, another new item that just appeared, and this will be voted on at the next county commission meeting. There is a resolution requesting the General Assembly give half of the real estate transfer tax to the county where the tax is collected. This is there's a 37-cent per $100 of value real estate transfer tax that I guess shows up on your closing documents when you buy or sell a property. And we were told at the finance meeting in the past that used to go to the county, and as time has gone on, the state has decided that they could, I guess, do a better job of spending that money, so they take it now.
They just took it.
They just took it. So the county, and not just our county, there's
All of them.
yeah. Well, I don't know all. A bunch of them are going to write a letter basically asking the state legislature, hey, why don't you give us some of that money back? So and in this case, for Bedford County, the dollar amount that was mentioned, this would give us another $900,000 a year towards the county budget. So
then maybe we can get a lower tax.
a lower property tax.
Maybe we could.
Good luck with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Not counting on that, but that would help the county for sure. I mean, $900,000 is
Yeah, it'd pay the legal fees.
Yeah, it'd cover the lawyers. So.
I'm just saying,
You're just saying. All right. And then same day, because Tuesday was a busy one, Tuesday evening, I drove from the finance meeting and got rolled in 5 minutes late to the Shelbyville Power, Water, and Sewer Board.
Did they penalize you for getting there late?
I didn't get a penalty for being
Okay.
late. No, this is one I had not attended before. I was just going mainly to see how the board operated. I will say that Doobie runs a great meeting. She's on point, man. They fly through their agenda just lickety split. But they have 3 different meetings in one. It is actually split up. So they started with the power board. The power board approved what's called a distribution automation system. I guess we have, as I learned at this meeting, we have 18 power circuits in the city.
Okay.
Which I guess is broken up into 18 portions. 3 of these, they're going to test this new distribution automation system. What it is it's an automated, what they call a self-healing system, where, say, a car ran into a light pole, instead of taking out the whole circuit, this thing automatically can figure out where the problem's at, route around it, and bring power back on for a big chunk of that circuit. So you might have a power outage that only lasts a few seconds. This this automated system fixes it. And they said a lot of times it'll fix it before people have time to get on the phone and call and complain that the power's out.
Impressive.
So yeah,
that's impressive.
So they're going to test it on 3 if they like how it works, which it's in use. And I mean, we're not the first city to get this. It's in use all over the country, I would assume. Then they will start expanding. It's not inexpensive. So as budget allows, they'll eventually expand that to all 18 circuits, with the hope that, again, as there's a power outage, they don't have to manually send people out, to fix it immediately. It can heal itself, as it were.
Right.
So, second meeting at the same meeting was the water board. The water board, the big discussion was and not waterboarding, the water board.
Okay, yeah. That's nice.
The water board.
Good for the clarification.
Yeah, clarification there. They were discussing the new draft permit that they've got for the 10 million gallons a day. And they're going to decide whether or not to contest the permit, not on the 10 million, which they're happy with, but this permit, I think we've talked about in the past, has the low flow provision, where at a certain point on the river, it's Milltown, I believe is where it is, they measure the cubic feet per second, per minute, whatever the measurement is there. And when that number drops below or hits 175, our permit, as it's currently written in the draft format, goes from 10 million gallons a day down, I want to say, to 6, maybe. It's a big drop. So they don't like that fact because, they said the 175 number, that they feel like the TDEC just pulled it out of thin air. They don't feel like it's a scientifically accurate, measurement. Well, it's a good measurement, but they don't feel like the 175, that they just feel like that was kind of a random number.
Yeah.
And then also, if we do have that low flow, the 6 million becomes a problem, because on high use days, we've passed that number already. So our highest day, I think, and this was due to a pipe breaking, I think, but we've had a day where we pulled, I think it was 8 million plus gallons in a day.
Yeah.
So if our permit only allowed 6, obviously that's
we'd be
a problem.
in trouble.
So yeah,
somebody's going to do without water somewhere.
Well, the question still in this, the permit is still very vague. There's no enforcement for the first 5 years. And then when there is enforcement, it's not laid out yet. Like, do you get a fine? Do you get a slap on the wrist? What are they going to do? They can't shut the river off for you. So,
No.
There's only so much the state could do. So they don't,
Okay.
they want more clarification, and they would preferably not even have that low flow provision. So,
yeah.
But the big thing at this meeting which I'm kind of glad I went to it because it was unexpected, and they said this had never happened. The sewer board had an entire wall of people there to talk to them about a proposal. There's a piece of property on Shaw Road. It is in the county, and directly across the street from this piece of property is another piece of property that has sewer on it.
City sewer.
City sewer.
It's in the city
in the
limits.
it's in the county as well.
But it's got the sewer out
But
there.
the sewer just happens to go there, and there's a pumping station. So we're going to stay away from mentioning any names, but the owners of the property on Shaw Road would like to sell their property to a developer out of Smyrna. But in order to develop the property, he would like access to that sewer. In order to get to that sewer, though, you have to run several hundred feet across the other property owner's property. And they're like, we don't want you running several hundred feet of sewer across our property. And furthermore, we don't want a developer from Smyrna building, in this case, it was 72, 73 acres, 165 houses across the street from us. So we're not going to give you access to our sewer.
So this is pretty much farmland.
This is all farmland.
Yeah.
This is all agriculture right now. The ask from the property owner that wants to have their property developed was for the sewer board to either negotiate or force the other property
Oh,
owner to
wow.
give them access to the
Force.
sewer.
Okay.
That didn't happen. So the other alternative is if you're on Shaw Road, if people that live in that area are like me that drive by it all the time. It's the piece of property very close to where Shaw runs into Old Nashville Dirt
Okay.
Road.
Yeah.
It's the piece of property that has the big pond on it
Yes.
has
Pretty
geese and
nice,
stuff on
pretty
it.
place
It looks like
there. Yeah.
got a little dock on it. I think they
Yeah.
maybe stocked, has some fishing. So it's a big piece of property. So so the other possible alternative that was brought up at the meeting, there is sewer over on Jennings Lane. If they could negotiate with the property owner to the west, maybe they could bring in sewer from Jennings Lane
Right.
direction. So, but the bigger argument in the back and forth, and there was quite a bit of argument at the meeting. The Power, Water, and Sewer Board had not set up bylaws for public comment. I mean, they're allowed, but they'd never really had any, so they didn't
Right.
have a 3-minute limit. They didn't have any of that.
So it just went.
So it was
Yeah.
every man for himself there for a little bit. And it's the same growth, discussion, argument, whatever you want to call it, that's going on all around the city and the county, which is you got people on rural agricultural land. They'd like to see it stay rural and agricultural.
Right.
But then you've got another property owner that's seeing dollar signs and has got a developer that's offered them what I'm sure is not an insignificant amount of money for
Right.
70 some acres. So they're like, we'd like to sell our
So
property.
there's not been a request to annex this to the city.
They specifically said at the meeting they were not looking to annex. Their preference was to get sewer. It's already got water from B-Cut. It's got electric from Duck River, and just go ahead and build the subdivision there in the county as a county piece of property. I think there's other issues with that, which as far as I know in the county current zoning, you can't build on less than an acre lot.
Well, here's my question. Who maintains the sewer once it gets placed? That goes to Shelbyville Power?
Yeah, the
As a
sewer.
responsibility?
Yeah,
They would
yeah.
get a sewer bill from.
They would get a sewer bill, and that is problematic for Shelbyville. It already happens. If you go to the north side of town to Global Manor, at least the new phases, because this was part of the discussion in pre-planning, and I don't know if any of the current phases are like this, but the new phases that they're going to build there, they'll be getting sewer from Shelbyville Power, but water from B-Cud. So it is a possibility. The problem from Shelbyville Power's standpoint is, A, you don't make any money on sewer, and there's no way to meter sewer. So they're reliant on B-Cud giving them a reading from the water meter saying this homeowner used X number of gallons of water. Then they use that to do the calculation to bill them for sewer.
Just like they do in the city now.
Yeah. So, but they don't, because it's not their meter getting the information. They said it's a bunch of manual entry.
Yeah.
They get a list of, meters. They've got to, probably go back and
that's
key
a lot
in
of
a bunch of
headache right
numbers
there.
and stuff. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to get sewer to this property, and then does the county really want a big subdivision there? So Shaw Road, again, which people from my side of town, the west side of town, we use as a cut across to get over to 231, is another one of these roads like Jennings Lane was. It's narrow, it's got no shoulder, and you want 165 houses on it, adding to the traffic that's already there every day. So clearly the neighbor across the street that owns the agricultural property did not want that there. So so we'll see if it goes forward. That'll be
this
another
is
one
the
we're
battle
watching.
we're going to have for years to come, Josh.
Oh yeah, all around. This is just one
all around
piece
the
of property.
outskirts of the city that's always been farmland.
Right.
It's now up for development.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to have this future land use map put in place. And the
the right zoning
city,
and regulations.
City and county's got to work together on this somehow.
Yeah.
Because right now, it could be a mess. 20 years from now, we could look back and say, "Man, we should not have done that."
Right. Yeah, and we've already got in that same area where Shaw runs right into Old Nashville Dirt Road. If you take a right on Old Nashville Dirt Road there, you can see it. They've wiped out all the trees just past that church, and there's about to be, I looked it up for somebody the other day, it's 170 some houses or something built right there on Old Nashville Dirt Road.
If anybody out there has a question about whether it's right or wrong, go talk to people that live in Rutherford County that's in the middle of their mess.
Yeah.
Just go talk to them. Talk to the elected officials over there,
right?
And talk about what happened 15 years ago if they wish it had been done different.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure hindsight, there's a lot of things they would have done.
And we can learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
If we choose to.
Yeah. If we take the time to talk to them and do the research for sure. So So that was it for that board meeting. And then the only other event that I went to this week was Wednesday morning. We had the big grand opening of Duxon over of 231. Not a whole lot to say about that.
Did you
other
get a
than
tour of the plant?
I did not get a tour. I was disappointed. No
Did
tour.
you get to meet all the employees?
There were a lot of employees there. I don't know if I met them all. I shook a lot
How
of
many
hands.
they got now
and
at this point? You know,
Nobody mentioned an employee count.
50.
Couldn't tell you. Have no idea. Nobody brought that number up. As far as we did get it to go inside the building. They had a very controlled pathway. They had a red carpet and people guarding all the doors and turns. And you could only go one way into a particular room.
They got to keep you away from the acid.
No, we were in the room. The production room is where they did where they had the event. It was about 100 or so chairs, I think 150 chairs, and they had a stage set up. The governor came and gave his little speech. The economic development director gave his little speech. A couple from Duxon gave a speech. They gave out some plaques. And then they took us to another room on the front of the building that was, looked like I don't even know what it was, maybe a big meeting room or something. And they had a nice spread of food out there. They had, hand-cut beef tenderloin and prawns and macaroons. And they had a little string trio playing classical music live and stuff. So it was a nice event. And the building itself, I mean, as you would expect from a brand new building that cost, I think, what was it, $95 million? It's a nice looking building. So
it should be.
I wouldn't mind having an office in it. I'm sure those offices are nice.
It's sitting on donated land?
I believe it is sitting on land.
All right. Okay. Yeah. We gave them that. All right. So here's my question, Josh. You saw some employees.
Oh, yeah.
Were they Bedford County employees?
I could not tell you where they lived. Most everybody I saw did seem to be Korean. So,
okay, well, it's a Korean plant. That makes sense.
It's a Korean company.
Okay,
so, yeah. So it, but everybody was
just
super friendly.
Just questions, Josh.
Yeah, nice looking building. Do wish I had gotten a tour. Didn't get a tour. Tried to get a tour on my way out and asked, and nobody seemed to have any information on if tours were available. I'm thinking maybe tours is not like a normal thing they do. So no tour, but. Nice looking building, wish them all the best. Hopefully at some point we're getting tax money out of it currently.
Steve Jordan's up there. Hey, Steve. He said that plant is, in my opinion, is an accident waiting to happen. A lot of people feel that way, and I hope it never happens.
I hope not. Yeah. And I do hope, and the other thing is, we're getting no property tax money out of it for, 7 or 10 years. Yeah. So hopefully they stay in business long enough. At some point we get some tax revenue out of it. It will be nice.
Well, that technology is changing swiftly.
Yeah, they did have. They actually, speaking to that, they had their 5 biggest customers there, and they had a head guy from Nissan, a head guy from Ford, 2 or 3 other big auto manufacturers were there.
Since you mentioned it, Nissan they are cutting back drastically their workforce, their loads, their lines, and that's made the news this week in a regional press release and so forth. And it looks like that Honda and Nissan are going to try to come up into a merger.
I had seen something about that.
So that's a sign of, I don't know if it's failure of the EV market, but I think that a lot of these car companies have put all their eggs in the EV market, and it's just not panning out in the economics, in our economy. People are not gravitating or running to these EVs the way they thought. I don't think.
And they don't make. If you just look at them from the financial standpoint, if you don't get the tax incentives, which it looks like definitely with the current administration will probably go away, they just dollars and cents. They don't work out. It's so much cheaper to buy a gasoline, powered car than it is an electric car. The only reason they did make sense for a while was if you got a big enough tax incentive, it may offset the difference.
Well, I got one thing to say about the whole situation on the EVs. Drill, baby, drill. All right.
You're all about some oil. So.
Yeah, drill, baby, drill.
All right. And that was the last meeting I went to. I think I'd already touched on it, so I'll just mention it one more time, though. Thursday, I did go down and did the tour of the Manchester Solid Waste Transfer Station. Big old building. There's a big pile of trash in it. They load it onto trucks. Trucks drop it off. We watched them offload how it comes off a truck and stuff. And it's, kind of what you would expect. It's,
trash transfer.
It's a trash transfer station. So, yeah, it was. So that's it for the week that happened. And we got one thing in the upcoming week. But before we talk about it, I think we might hear from our sponsor.
All right. We'll be right back.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a Rate Lock Advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 19...
All right, welcome back in here to the weekend wrap up, where the news that matters is talked about and discussed.
Yeah.
Josh, I do have some news
Okay.
to give everybody. Shelbyville now is not the utility company. Okay, we're not Shelbyville Power and Water.
You're not?
No, but
Oh.
I had some private messages sent, and on one of our secondary Facebook pages, somebody was complaining that their electricity bill was a lot higher on their last bill than it was the month before. And they were complaining to us about it. And I will say this: we had an 18-day stretch of where we had abnormally cold temperatures, and that just does it. Okay, it's just the way it is. It's
especially if you
double.
get an electric heat pump, which we do.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's so many out
my
there.
My bill was up, as was everybody's.
Yes, if you heat with electricity, your electricity bill's going up. If you heat with gas, your gas bill's going up.
Yeah.
Shelbyville now has nothing to do with setting those rates or taking your money. As a matter of fact, we're broke around here. We don't get any money. All right. We do thank our sponsor for keeping electricity on. We thank Dennis Young for that and the ability to move. But just wanted to give you that public service announcement. It's not us, I promise.
It wasn't even you that set the temperature that low? You didn't set the outside temperature low? No, you don't control the weather.
Don't control the weather, and we don't control the electric bills or the gas bills.
Okay.
But just wanted to make sure everybody understood that. Yes.
All right. That's all right.
What we got coming up, Josh?
Upcoming week, just one meeting, at least on my schedule. Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock, we have the City Council study session. I got my packet for that yesterday, honestly.
How many pages?
Well, that's what I'm going to get to. I thought, man, I don't think there's a lot going on this month. It was the biggest one I've gotten. I've only gotten 2 or 3. 333 pages.
Man, that's a lot of studying.
I was talking to my brother last night. He said, "Are you going to be one of those Washington politicians? You get a pile of papers, and you don't even read them and vote on stuff?" I said, "No,
you actually do."
Yeah, I got through it. I said, "It's." And 333. Let me tell you, it takes a minute. So
that's equivalent to a book.
It is. Yeah, that's a good sized book. So,
Man, I'd struggle with that.
There's a lot of stuff on the agenda, so I think it'll be interesting. I think for people that want to tune in, I think what could be the most interesting discussion. There was a letter sent to the council from the Shelbyville Bedford Partnership, offering us the invitation to rejoin the partnership. Mm-hmm. So I think could be some discussion on that at the study session. It's definitely on the agenda. So.
Well, let me back up and for people that maybe not have followed, what does the Shelbyville Bedford Partnership actually do at this point? It's gone through a process over the last year.
That I think will be part of the questions at the meeting. Yeah,
right.
I know their economic development was their initial,
but we don't do that now.
It's still listed on there.
That's basically it works in conjunction with at one time it was called the Shelbyville Chamber of Commerce. They absorbed that last year.
Yeah. Now the chamber, of course, does also tourism related things. Then you've got workforce development, and then I should know they have a list of 4 that they give. And if I'd known this question was coming, I would have prepared for the quiz.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You stumped me. But yeah, I think that'll be part of the discussion at the council meeting is what are they currently doing, and do we want to put taxpayer money back into it? So that'll be an interesting discussion to watch. And again, a lot of other things on that agenda to get to 333-page packet. You got to have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to see how all that plays out and that discussion as far as the partnership goes. That'd be interesting to see how that moves forward without economic development. I know at one time the city had talked about hiring an assistant manager / industrial recruiter.
Right.
That fell to a no vote. That didn't never happen
anywhere. Yeah. Now they have hired a kind of a, I don't know what the word is. There is some kind of a executive assistant position that's now in City Hall that kind of takes some of the workload, I think, off our city manager. Right. Just some of the administrative tasks kind of things. So, and I think part of that thinking was to give him more time to work on the economic development. And I know there are a lot current as we had, what was it, Project Cardinal that they used to have. I've heard
Project Turquoise, Project Cardinal,
pick a color.
Project None of Your Business.
So I hear there are many other current projects in the works behind the scenes, and I think a lot of that has been done just directly by the city,
right?
Without going through the
code
partnership.
names.
There are code
names.
I'll give you one. I just because it was a funny one. I can't remember who I was discussing with. We currently have a Project Fight Club, so I'm nothing more to say. That's one.
It's
of the
not
ones.
a coffee shop, is it?
I hope not. we get enough blame for coffee shops.
I know.
Yeah. So
and by the way,
Josh,
we had a video posted this past week of the new restaurant on the corner. That I call it the corner.
The corner restaurant that's in front of
been there for everybody's tried to put something there. And in the process of that, it was actually the video of a wreck that took place from
it was a 2-for-1 post. I couldn't pass on.
And if you stay to the very end and wait for it, you'll almost see a second wreck take place.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
That close?
You
it could have been
back
a 3
and watch that.
Could have been.
Yes, sir.
It could have been. So that was that was probably our most watched post of the week.
Yes,
so,
very interesting.
Yeah, it was a good
And
one,
the snow video is up to 270,000 views now.
Yeah, that was you sitting at our friend Southern Cup in the parking lot.
270,000 views.
Just looking at the snow out the window.
For 30 seconds. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Steve
crazy.
Jordan, hey, we love doing it. He says thanks for us doing this.
Yes, thanks, Steve.
I guess that's it for the week.
That's it for the week. We'll be back here, same time, same channel, same place with the news that matters next week.
And thank you, Dennis.